Hello students, this is our fifth lecture in the series and we are discussing about the clause elements. Yesterday or in the last video we discussed about the first clause element, that is subject, and today we are going to talk about or we are going to understand the second clause element, that is verb, which is also called as predicative verb, because it is the main part of the sentence as well as the predicate. So we'll discuss today about the second clause element, that is verb. What is a verb? Actually, all of us know what a verb is. A verb is a word or the phrase in a sentence that indicates the action of the sentence. The action of the sentence. The definition of the verb can be made like this. The definition can be made like this. The verb is a word that tells us what the subject does. What the subject is doing. First of all, the verb tells us about what the subject is doing, or what the state the subject is in. So the verb tells us about doing, means action of the subject or the state of the subject. These are the two principal things that the verb does in a sentence. Either it tells us about what the subject is doing, that means the action of the sentence, or what the state, in which condition the subject is. Okay, this is, as it is stated here, this is the central part of the clause. Why it is called the central part? It is called central part because on the verb only there are main principal three things are dependent. What are the principal three things? First, number one, it tells us about the tense. It tells us about the tense. Subject doesn't tell us about the tense. Which tense the sentence is in. It is denoted by the verb only. Second thing, it tells us about the aspect. Aspect means perfective aspect. Okay. And the third important thing, the verb tells the voice of that sentence, whether the subject is in passive voice or the active voice. So these are the principal three things that the verb does. Apart from telling us about the action or state of the sentence, a verb does these principal three things. That's why it is the central part of the clause. Any clause, it is the central part of any clause. It further, what it is stated here, which specifies what kind of event or state is being talked about. What kind of event means here action, and what kind of state, condition, the present condition of the subject in the sentence. Now we can take, for example, here some of the sentences are given, and in these sentences we'll understand the significant importance of the verb. The first sentence that we have studied earlier already in the topic of subject is the women gathered in the street. This in this sentence, as I have already made placed the word gathered in blue, it is the verb. In the second sentence, the path had been blocked by a tree. This is the verb here. And in the third sentence, several accidents had occurred in the afternoon. So here the blue colored words are the verbs in the sentences. Okay. Now we understood what a verb is, but the verb indicates the action or the state. The action of the or the state. In the first sentence, the verb gathered indicates the action of the women. What is the action? Action of gathering. In the second sentence, it also states the the condition. The path has been blocked. The path has been blocked. The condition of the path, it is stated here. Several accidents had occurred. Means here several accidents had occurred in the afternoon. It indicates the action. Okay. So this verb in each sentence describe either action or the state of that particular subject. Now we can observe here one thing. In the first sentence, the verb is a single word sentence. It's a single word sentence. Single word verb. In the second, it is the 3-word verb. And in the fourth, it is the 2 words verb. So there is the variation in the number of words used. This is called as a verb as well as a verb phrase. This is called as a verb as well as verb phrase. There is a single word, there are 3 words, and there are 2 words in each sentences, in these sentences. And this combination here is called as a verb phrase. Okay. Going further, I will tell you the second thing that I have already described to you. What is that? That a verb indicates, apart from telling us whether the subject is in action or in a state, it tells us about, first thing, tense. Tense means which tense the sentence is in. The first sentence is in past tense. It indicates the past tense. The second also indicates the past tense. The third also is in the past. It tells the past action. Okay. So this is the principal function of the verb, to tell the tense of a sentence. Now, the second aspect that we discussed is it tells us about the aspect. Aspect. Is it a perfective aspect or what? It tells us about that. Okay. The first is a simple tense, a simple past tense. The second is in the perfective aspect, and third one is also in a perfective aspect. The next thing that a verb tells us is whether the subject is active or passive. The subject is active or passive. As we notice here, the first verb gathered directly indicates the action done by the subject. The women, they themselves have gathered. That means they are active. Whereas in the second sentence, the path that had been blocked by a tree, the path had been blocked by a tree. Now this path doesn't do anything by its own. The tree has done the action. But this sentence indicates something that has taken place on the path, not indicates, not reiterates, or not gives stress and importance on what the tree has done. It tells us that the path has been blocked. It is immaterial. By the tree, it is immaterial here. And that's why we can say that the action is not done by the subject. The action is done to the subject. That's why it is the passive voice. Okay. And the third sentence, several accidents had occurred in the afternoon. Again, this is the active voice. Passive and active. This is indicated by the verb. This is indicated by the verb. This is one of the important things of the verb. Actually, a verb consists of a single word in isolation. Isolation means out of the sentence. For example, walk. This is a verb. But when we use this in a sentence, in a clause, at that time, this doesn't occur as it is. There are certain changes made to this verb. What changes can be done? If it is a first person, we use yes to it. If it is in past tense, we put ed to it. If it is in the present tense, continuous tense, we put ing to it. If it has a passive voice, was or is or form of be is used to it. Or if it is in the perfect tense, form of have is used to it. Or form of have is used to it. Okay, so changes takes place according to these things. The person, whether the subject is singular or plural, whether the action is in the past tense, or whether the action is in the progressive continuous form, whether it is a passive voice or whether it is a perfective one. So accordingly, and one more thing, that's what I forgot, and whether it denotes a negative action. So the changes takes place according to these things. Accordingly, there are the increasing number of words in a verb phrase. This walk is a single word verb in isolation. In isolation means in dictionary you will find walk as a verb. But in sentence, but when we use this in a sentence, at that time it doesn't occur only as a one single word verb as walk. It is accompanied by many other attachments to it. For example, I am walking. I am walking on road. So this walk, it shows ing, progressive tense, progressive aspect, continuous tense, and this am, it shows the present continuous tense. The present continuous tense. If I write like this, he walked upon a page. A page. So this becomes a phrasal verb. We put a preposition with a prepositional verb, it becomes a prepositional verb. So one more thing can be added, preposition can be added to this, and this becomes a different kind of verb. Sometimes we say bring, but this bring, when I just simply say bring as a verb, bring means anne. But when I use bring out or bring about, the total meaning of this verb changes. The total meaning of this verb changes. It has a different meaning from the simple word bring. That's why we can notice here one thing, that the predicative verb, notice that the predicative verb may consist of more than one words. Actually it is not explained here, but we can notice the things that the verb has been accompanied by many words depending on the things that I told you just now, whether it is whether it comes for the single person, first person, third person, plural person, or whether it comes for which tense, means a particular tense. It indicates whether it indicates the progressive aspect, whether it indicates perfective aspect, whether it indicates passive thing, whether it indicates negative thing. So accordingly the number of words in the verb change, or sometimes it is accompanied by a preposition and the number also changes. Okay, if I write a sentence like this, I work with him. This is a single word, work. This is a verb. If I further write like this, I am working with him. I have been working with him. Working with him. Here it is the single word. Here there are two words. Here there are three words. Working is here. Three words. I have been working with him. Three words are there. I am not working with him. If we put negative here, I am not working with him. I am not working with him. So it becomes negative. One word is added there. So the number of words in a verb phrase, this is a single word, single verb, single word verb. But here the number of words are different. There is a variation. And this whole group is called as verb phrase. In a sentence, what is a verb phrase? What is a verb phrase? All the words that indicate the total action of the sentence or the total state of the sentence is called as a verb phrase. All the words that indicate the action or state of the sentence, subject of the sentence, subject are called verb phrase, are called verb phrase. Phrase means collection of words, a group of words. A group of verb phrase is what? A group of words functioning just simply as verb. That is the verb phrase. Okay. It is not given here, but I am explaining this to you because sometimes we may not be able to differentiate between simply a verb and a verb phrase. Actually, verb and a verb phrase are one and the same. Verb means any word in dictionary which is in a category of verb, a single word. But a verb phrase means all the words that are used in a sentence to denote the total action aspect tense of the sentence. That group of words is called as verb phrase. Okay. If we take one verb, for example, eat. This is a dictionary based root word, eat, which is in dictionary denoted as verb. Now this can be changed in different ways depending on the tense, the person, the passive voice, or the progressive or perfective aspect. Okay, we'll do one by one. I eat a mango. He eats a mango. Now in dictionary we cannot see eats. In dictionary we cannot see eats as a verb. This is the change that has occurred to the principal eat when it is used in a sentence for a third singular person. Okay. So changes takes place in the sentence depending on the person, the plural or the singular, whether it is first person or third person, it is according to that. Okay. Then if I say I ate a mango, this is a past tense of it. I did not eat a mango. I did not eat a mango. This is the verb here, verb phrase here. Going further, in a progressive way or present continuous tense, we can write a sentence like this. I am eating a mango. Look, the changes in a word, in a verb phrase occurs according to the tense also. It's present tense, progressive. Okay. We are eating a mango. We are eating. Here it changes to are eating. He is eating a mango. Again there is a change. We can say I was eating a mango. They were eating a mango. In a perfective aspect, in the perfect tense, we can write a sentence like this: I have eaten a mango. I have eaten a mango. So there is a change in that. We can go further and notice the verb takes different forms according to the person, tense, aspect, and passive or negative. So according it changes the forms, and the whole construction or the whole accumulation of the words, this simply is not called as a verb, but it is called as the verb phrase. This is very important to understand. Okay, we'll stop the today's lecture here. We will continue tomorrow, in tomorrow's lecture, in the next lecture, with the next clause element.